Right, what is up, guys? Welcome back to the channel and welcome back to another Division 2 video. I've got a bit of a fun build. Like as I say in my previous video, I want to bring build videos that are a bit different. They might not be the ultimate build to use in different scenarios, but they're definitely fun out-of-the-box builds. And in today's build video, I've got a mag hell build, I've named it. Simply, I'm trying to utilize magazine size with a few items. So we're going to get into that build for you today. What it helps me do personally is if I'm playing things like Countdown, Heroic, Open World content, any missions, it's just something different to your regular strikers and having to worry about, you know, striker stacks, having to worry about proccing too much. Although you are proccing certain aspects with this, it's nowhere near as time consuming and obviously demanding of the build. I know a lot of people go strikers not demanding, but you know what I mean. To keep full stacks in between areas on the map when your stacks are going down, you're trying to keep it up. You are trying to focus on that. But this build kind of alleviates quite a lot of that pressure and still gives me a good bang for my buck. So if you do like today's Division 2 video, and it does, you know, you are putting one of these together, let me know down in the comments below. I would be interested to see other people's variants of it. We'll talk about things that we could do, swap out and change for different play styles. But yeah, let's get into the build. Right, let's talk about the specialization now. I haven't given PvP much thought with this. Well, I've given it thought, but I haven't put it into practice much. So if you're used to PvP, maybe you can, you know, tailor this to a little bit better, because obviously with the PvP debuffs, you lose quite a lot of the ammo that you're going to see in this build. So I've got it on at the moment for the med kit. So obviously, if you're playing PvP, there'd be no better, no better specialization than running the flamethrower. But if you're just doing open world content, whatever, pick whatever one you want. If you want a bit more armor on kill, you know, things like that, just pick whatever suits your build. But I'm just going to keep this on for now. Not important to this build whatsoever. Use that to tailor your playstyle. Right, firstly, I'm using the Saint Elmo's engine. Now, for me, this is important for the build. If you want to run an SMG build with this, you can do. If you want to switch out the Saint Elmo's for the Ouroboros, if you're into using the new Striker, whatever you want to do, you can. But I personally think that this weapon is very vital to this, and we'll get into the reasons why. So I'm running the St. Elmo's engine. As you can see, I've got this to weapon expertise 26. We've got 26% weapon damage with that. Total damage of 130k for this build. Obviously, damage to targets out to cover. Make sure you're rolling that on. And then obviously the Talent Actimest. Shooting an enemy with this weapon will give 1 stack. At 100 stacks, the next magazine will be 100% filled with shock ammo. So obviously, because we're utilizing the magazine size, you're going to be getting, well, you'll see in a minute, like double bullets to what you're used to with the St. Elmo's as shock rounds. That would be important in a lot of scenarios. Secondly, we're running a Dark Winter. Again, I could find myself close up and, you know, person with people. The Perfect Killer's a decent, you know, really good talent. It's probably one of the better ones, if I'm being honest, for the non-exotic weapons. So Perfect Killer, killing an enemy grants 90% critical hit damage for 10 seconds. Right, usually I just go through each piece. I'm going to give you a broad aspect of this build first, and then we're going to break down each piece. So we're running 3-piece Brazos, and then we're running 1-piece, obviously, Zweierdauker, and then we're running the Centurion's holster. Oh, sorry, and then we're running the Fenris chest piece. So if you wanted to run an SMG with this, like the Ouroboros, you'd swap that out for a Sokolov piece. That's just something you can do. Right, so firstly, what we're doing is 3-piece Brazos. So I've gone with the mask, the gloves, and the knee pads. I think these are the easiest ones to get, because with the chest piece, for instance, a Fenris rolls red, you know, with weapon damage. The Zweierdauker drops with a red automatically. And then obviously, because those 2 pieces have got talents, if you're trying to get a Brazos chest piece, it's just a harder piece. The chest pieces in the bag are harder pieces to get how you want them, because you've got to hope it runs with crit hit damage, chance, and the right talent. So I just found this the easiest way around. So yeah, as I say, Brazos mask, armor, crit hit chance, crit hit damage, a crit hit damage mod. Then we've got the Brazos gloves. Again, we've gone with armor, crit hit damage, crit hit chance. And the knee pads, armor, crit hit chance, crit hit damage. Now I did, so you'll see I've gone for 3 blues and 3 reds. You could do 4 reds if you wanted to. If you did go that route, you'd have to hope maybe a pair of knee pads, gloves, or a mask. Roll with the 2 red attributes on it so you can change the core attribute to weapon damage if you really want to do that. But I'm just going to go for 3 at the moment. The chest piece I'm running is obviously a Fenris for that 10% assault rifle damage, weapon damage, crit hit damage, crit hit chance, getting knocked out of that. Don't you just hate it? So yeah, all reds with obliterate. Critical hit, increase weapon damage by 1% for 10 seconds, stacks up to 20 times. So that's an extra 20% weapon damage. And then the backpack. The Zweiadauka backpack. All red. We're obviously utilising that 15% magazine size. And running companion, so while you're within 5 meters of an ally or its skill, total weapon damage is increased by another 15%. And finally, the Centurion Scabbard. If you haven't used this yet, this is so vital for raw damage for this build. So obviously it rolls with all reds. Obviously I've maxed that out, you know, I've obviously upgraded it. And then we've got the talent counter. Swapping weapons will give you the following groups of bonuses, one by one in order. So one swap will give you 20% rate of fire, 20% weapon damage. And then the second swap back to obviously, you know, your primary weapon will give you 50% magazine size and 50% reload speed. The bonuses remain active for 12 seconds or until the weapon is swapped. Swapping to your sidearm will not trigger the next group of bonuses. Now, there is a bit of a hack in this video that I'm going to show you where you can get, I suppose, both set of bonuses on the same weapon. So we're going to discuss that a little bit further, but let's just break down the build a little bit more. Okay, so with the 3-piece Brazos, skill haste and skill tier is really irrelevant. We are utilising the 50% magazine size. With the Zweiadauka piece, we're obviously utilising the 15% magazine size. And then obviously with the Centurion Scabbard, we're going to be getting another 50% magazine size. Okay, so that's what we're utilising. And then with the, obviously the talents, we're looking for weapon damage, 20% weapon damage with that. Well, say that it's 10% assault rifle damage, 15% weapon damage, and then obviously 20% weapon damage with obliterate. So you're picking up what, 25, 45% raw damage as well with a bunch of critical hit chance and damage. But main thing is 45% weapon damage. And with the backpack, companion's going to give us 15%. We're going to get the 15% from the bills. That's another 30% raw damage along with the crits. I will max that crit chance out. And yeah, you know, this build is just based around raw damage. So then again, with the Centurion's holster, we're getting 20% weapon damage and 20% rate of fire. That's important. So now you've seen the build, you can see what we're aiming for. Even though we're kind of got all crit hit chance and damage as well, the main part is the raw damage. Right, so I've proc the Centurion Scabbard talents. As you can see, I've got 150 bullets in the St. Elmo's. So with the, obviously, works out what, 115% magazine size by obviously, you know, utilizing the Centurions. You're getting 150 bullets with the St. Elmo's. Now, as you can see, I've got 96 bullets with the Dark Winter, which you shouldn't really have. So if I just shoot a few bullets, you can see once I reload, it's gone down to 75. So we're utilising 150 with the St. Elmo's. That goes back up to 151. But you'll notice the Dark Winter hasn't. It's only gone to 75. Now, the way you utilise it is, let's just say you're swapping between your weapons, proccing it. So I'm proccing the weapon, the magazine. I'm proccing the rate of fire and the weapon damage. I'm proccing the magazine, and so on and so forth. Right. So one thing I will say, first little tip with the St. Elmo's or whatever weapon you've got the magazine size procced with. We just watch this. rather than reloading, if I just swap my weapons, the magazine's full. So if you're in PvP or you're in a tight situation, you know, when doing whatever it is, a raid, you run out of bullets with the St. Elmo's, rather than reload, you're switching back to Dark Winter. So as you can see, when you're Dark Winter, if you're using it in that tight situation, it runs out, swapping back is going to max the magazine size out. So whatever magazine size proc weapon you're having, you're always going to have your magazines when you swap back. That's the first tip. You'll probably already work that one out. But now I'm going to show you how to get your magazine in both. So, as you can see, I'm on the St. Elmo's. It's 150 rounds. Dark Winter, 74. Whilst on the weapon with the extra magazine size, if you double tap your pistol, then go back to your weapon, and then switch your weapon, you will then get the magazine size for that secondary weapon. The reason that's happening is because you're having the little break of switching to your pistol. As we know from obviously the Scabbard's ability at the bottom, swapping to your sidearm will no longer trigger the next group of bonuses. You're basically staggering the bonuses. So now that's procced with the magazine size. When we switch back to the St. Elmo's, you're getting the rate of fire. You're getting the rate of fire and the weapon damage on 150 round mag. So all you're doing is, I'll try and bring some footage up on screen now, is when you're in a situation where this is how you do it. You'd be running, you'd be shooting your gun, you'd be changing to the other gun, you'd be changing to your pistol, you'd be getting them both back with the full magazines, and then you're switching between them and obviously utilising the weapon damage. So that little tip could be vital. You know, it's more weapon damage, it's a better... You know, it's a better utilization of the talent, and you're going to be getting, what, 150 rounds in the St. Elmo's and 96, 97 rounds in the Dark Winter. So, now that I've told you all that, you kind of know how to use the build, but here's where it gets even more interesting. This means with the St. Elmo's engine, when you proc the Actim-S talent, you're going to be getting 150 shock rounds in your St. Elmo's. Now, what that is for me, that's not only clutching situations, but you know the way people utilize the Scorpio for hunters and things in Countdown, or any, you know, boss that's quite tanky. They utilize the Scorpio to keep him grounded, to stop him from shooting. You're going to be able to do that with the St. Elmo's, and 150 rounds of it. I'll be very surprised if you're not dropping everything in sight. It's a pretty OP thing. So that's what I was aiming for with this build. I was aiming for... how can I get the most bullets into one magazine of the St. Elmo's, just to utilise that? And as I say, this could potentially work in PvP as well. You know, the way I see it is, as long as your game style and your gameplay is, you know, you're used to PvP, you know how to cover, you know when to go for, you know, a kill, you know when to move, ducking and diving. What's going to happen is when you start shooting your St. Elmo's engine and there's someone dancing around in front of you, they think you're going to stop shooting after about 70 bullets. But the thing is, you're going to keep on shooting. They're going to panic and wonder, what's going on? Why is this guy, why are these guys' bullets never running out? And it's going to throw them a little bit. So that's why I feel like the PvP side of this build, although I haven't got it nailed down yet, it's pretty much similar to what I've got, but there might need a few little tweaks, whether it's, as I say, the specialization, pick and firewall over something else, or whether it's to do with the skills, or whatever. Your general, you know, movements, your general gameplay. So I do feel like this has got a massive potential in PvP. And yeah, that is it for the video, really. Hopefully it's give you some food for thought. I really would like to know in the comments what you think about this build. Also, with it being in its first early stages, and I've just gone for magazine size and raw damage and utilizing the holster, let me know down below if you'd actually change anything. I know you wouldn't be able to change much in the sense of the pieces, because the 5 pieces of the 3 Brazos, the Zweierdauker and the Centurion Scabbard have to stay. But let me know if you find it maybe a little bit better with an SMG build, with an LMG build, with a different weapon, a different chest piece. Let me know your variations of how this could work, because I'd be really interested. This is just the base build that I've kind of put together. Hopefully it's give you some food for thought, as I say. And all that's left to say is, if you did like today's Division 2 video, hit the like button for me, subscribe if you're new, and yeah, that's the video.